Hey everybody, Victor here, and for today we have a nation guide for Ainu. Now before I get into the guide proper, I wanted to briefly discuss what's going on in the world, specifically Vladimir Putin's latest insane attempt to recreate the Russian Empire, his invasion of Ukraine. Now I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, I really don't care what your politics are. I think we can all agree though, that war is a truly terrible and disgusting evil that should have been eradicated a long time ago. And yet again, it has reared its ugly head, and innocent people are now suffering. I'm not asking much of you, I am simply asking if you are capable of giving anything to help the people that are innocent in this get through this alive. Please give it. I have put links in the description below that go to charities to help get food or medicine or get people out of the war zone. Please give what you can. There is also a link down there, however, where you can directly help subsidize the Ukrainian military itself, to help them pay for this fight to defend their land. I understand some of you may not want to do that. However, I wanted to give the option because I firmly believe that this is a fight that must be had. That Putin will not stop until he gets a bloody nose. And if America will not fight, then America should at least try and pick up the bill, because it is going to be our fight one way or another. We have seen this in history before. So if you can, I thank you. But with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, as is usually the case with my guides, this is a no restart guide. However, you may want to restart just for your own ease. Now, best place to start with all my guides is simply the estates and privileges. You see, you have no estates, which means you'll be granting no privileges. Easy, right? The reason you do not have any estates is because you start off as a Siberian native council, which is awesome, right? Instead of being a daimyo on the island of Japan and being able to use Sengoku Jidai, instead you have the same government type as all of these massively powerful Siberian tribes up here, right? That's awesome. So yeah, Sengoku Jidai, it's going to be a spectator sport for you. On top of that, you have an institution spread penalty, which is important because, well, you lack feudalism, meaning it's going to take even longer to get caught up on tech than it normally would. And the icing on top, the one good thing about Siberian Native Council, that it allows migration. Well, that requires you to have only one province, meaning for you to get your free mana anymore, yeah, you're going to have to lose land. So just tons of fun all around. The good news, however, is that this is actually pretty easy of a start. So let's go ahead and show you what that is. You simply take your army maintenance, drop it to 0. Take your fleet maintenance, drop it to 0. You're pretty much ready to unpause. Now before we do that, I wanted to point out you start off with a native council. This used to actually be a thing. Now, however, the moment you unpause, you will get a new ruler. This guy is completely random. The stats are random, the trade is random. This is why you might want to restart. I have had a 000 pop up in my testing, and I have done this 60 times. So yeah, you may want to restart if you get truly garbage, because you spent one day. It's not that important. But in this case, I'll just go ahead and keep playing, and let's see how bad my guy is going to be. Oh, yeah, that figures. Okay, now that I have 50 ducats, you're going to go ahead and hire one carrack. Just one. You don't need more, just one. And you're going to let yourself just let your income come in, let the carrack build, and you're going to build a couple more galleys. The idea is to get to about 14 to 16 ships in total. This will allow you to win the naval fight because you are going to be fighting Japan. And I mean all of Japan are all going to want to fight you because you're going to be trying to take this province right here. Now, if you look, this is the other thing that can make you want to restart. What happens here is Ando here. This is not their capital. Their capital is right here. However, this province has a nasty habit of being seized by one of their neighbors, forcing their capital over here. This matters because if you can control this province and control the strait, they can't get to you. However, if their capital is here, suddenly there's a fort there, meaning you have to siege the fort in order for you to control the strait. So it can be annoying, but you can always blast through it and try and assault it and hope that it gets through and you siege and occupy the province. But I've talked enough. Let's go ahead and unpause. Now again, you're going to be building ships as you can. But that is not the only thing you're going to be doing. You need to take your 2 diplomats and you need to improve relations with Ando and with Nanbu here. The reason why is if you look at the spread, it tells you you get a boost if there is a friendly province next to you that has it. And both of these tags do. So as long as you can get your opinion right here to 0, it will jump the natural spread. On top of this, the natural spread increases simply by you deving up your provinces. So what you're going to be doing is, while you're sitting here waiting for all of your ships to come in and everything else, you are going to be developing. Now, I recommend, it is up to you which province you develop, but you put 20 points of development into your capital here. The reason why is it's a coal province, and on top of that, as you will see here, it ends up boosting the rate of it naturally spawning in your province. So sitting here and not deving will slow you down. So just throw some development into your capital. It's not a great place to dev up high, but 20 will give you the coal when it eventually spawns, and it will help you get feudalism very quickly. Leaving your grasslands province here to dev up Renaissance, because you will get no natural spread of Renaissance, meaning you will have to dev more, so you save the grasslands province for that. Now, with all of that said, it is time for me to pause the recording because I need to wait for my fleet to be built, and I will be doing exactly what I told you guys I will be doing. I'll be building my fleet, I'll be deving up a little bit, trying to get feudalism spawned. So I will see you guys in just a minute. And welcome back. So I wanted to briefly point out, once you hit 20, make sure you go in here and change from encouraged development to advancement effort, because as you can see, I'm going from 1.15 a month, and simply by switching over to that, I then speed it up to 1.48. Substantial improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and see you guys in just a second. And welcome back. So as I said before, Ando did get pushed over here onto this island, meaning it was a fort there, but then Nanbu here ended up taking them out, so it now no longer has a fort. So, good. Take your navy, put them out with an admiral. Doesn't really matter if he's good or not. Hire a general, because you're going to need one, and go ahead and declare. Now, yes, you're fighting all of them, but here's the twisted thing. So long as you have a heavy, they tend not to want to fight you as long as you have about 14 ships. That seems to be the magic number. I've tried with less, and sometimes they will engage, sometimes they won't, but generally speaking, with a heavy and 14, you're pretty much good to go. And now I just sit here. Do not move the ships over here, because then they will then immediately cross over and destroy you. Just sit there and wait. Turn off your army and sit there and wait. And with that, time to go ahead and pause the recording again, because I have to wait about 5 to 10 years now, because they're going to want to continue the fight until eventually they have no other option, as I'm getting ticking war score because I'm holding the province. So I'll see you guys in just a little bit. And welcome back. So I wanted to point out a couple of things, and I figured now is as good a time as any. First off, do keep an eye out in case there might be separatists, as in my situation, whereas Ando got taken out. Just because if they fire, it's annoying to end up losing them and having to replenish your troops. So just keep an eye on it. Other than that, the other thing I wanted to point out is, while you're waiting for feudalism to fully be embraced in your provinces, don't dev anything. As you can tell by the tooltip, if I click this, I'm getting nothing in Renaissance. It's going to feudalism, but I've already embraced that. So make sure you have this go all the way to full before you start deving Renaissance, or you're just wasting your time. Now the good news is, by the way, with those rebels, since they still do not occupy both sides of the strait, because rebels do, they still can't get over. So if you want to just not worry about the rebels, just don't stand there like I did, because, again, I just wasn't paying attention. But with that, I'll see you guys in just a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So the war is over. Unfortunately, I pieced out already, but I wanted to simply explain what it was. You take the province, it's about 3 war score, and just peace out for that. If you wait any longer, every other 1 war score you get in terms of ducats is 2 ducats. So it's not worth delaying you doing anything else. So just peace out, get it done with, and move on. The good news is that once you've done this, you're safe. Ashikaga is not realistically going to attack you until they border you. So you have roughly until that time to get yourself secure. Now, if they immediately, in this case, annex Nanbu, and they border me, that means it's accelerated. But again, as long as I have a fleet here with at least one heavy, they tend to be afraid of it. Meaning that unless they have a much larger fleet than me, they will not try and take control of this strait, meaning I am safe. If you see them start to do this, you may have to build a larger navy. But now that that's done, it's time to move on to the next phase. And simply put, that is teching up some more, namely getting to 5. The reason you're aiming for 5 is so you can get your first idea group unlocked. And the first idea group you should go for, depending on your monarch generation, is either expansion or exploration, and the second one, if you go expansion, must be exploration. The reason why is because you need a colonist to drop right here, because then you can get claims on, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, I'm sorry. So you can get claims on them, specifically this one right here, this one province. The reason why is, if you look, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to drop a claim there and move over. And this is very useful because these guys right here sometimes get taken out, and it's Dong Hai who has all of this land, but they can't get through the strait. So you are trying to use this one province here to get a war done with against these guys, because then you can get a claim over here on Kamchak. And that can give you a claim up here on what I'm, again, not going to try and pronounce it. The reason why you are doing this is because, by the way, if you do go with expansion, it's just to get the first colonist, and you can delay the rest of it. You just need to drop a colony here, and then you can pretty much abandon it once you get the claim. The reason why is pretty simple, but I'm going to go ahead and keep playing and show you what I'm talking about once I get to that point. So I will see you guys in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. As you can tell, Ashikaga ended up getting on my island and taking a chunk of my land, including where I developed Renaissance. The reason why is because, well, I was exploring with my whole navy. They were over here, and I did not realize that they dropped a claim on me, because I was watching a YouTube video and wasn't paying attention. So, take my advice, keep your navy close, don't get ambushed, and pay attention to your events. But I wanted to show you the rest of the guide without having to restart, so let's go ahead and complete this guide. Now, if you notice, I am now in the New World. I'm colonizing the Aleutian Islands, meaning I now qualify as a spawn location for colonialism. Now, there's one of these requirements that I wanted to focus on because it matters for this guide. Namely, for it to spawn in one of your provinces, that province either has to have 12 development, a center of trade, or it must be your capital. This is an or situation. It does not have to have all of them. Meaning, it will spawn, since I have no other province now thanks to Ashikaga, right here if I am selected. However, that is not the optimum location. You see, institutions do not spread at all through uncolonized provinces. They also only spread over sea tiles if it is the same tag, or, in the alternative, the two tags that it's spreading between have positive relations. Meaning that there is actually a tag here where if I play my cards right, I can make it spawn there and make certain it cannot spread. And that is right here, on this glacier in the middle of Siberia. This is where we want to move our capital to, so that we will become a true Siberian Native Council. We're moving back home, guys. We're going to Siberia. Who would have thought? So how does this get accomplished? Well, you simply get up here, you core it, and then you can move your capital. But obviously, down here, you still have a massive developed province. And if you have this one too, that's also still a problem. So what you do is you simply go in here and take your vassal. Now, if you can't get this guy as a vassal, instead of colonizing here in Sakhalin, just colonize here in the Kurils, and then you can use the guy up here as the vassal to do this instead. And you're simply going to hand him the provinces. Yes, he might get disloyal, but you can always make him loyal again by deving him, or whatever else you need to do. Just try and get colonialism to spawn up here. Once it's up here, and your capital is up here, and you don't have any other land here, especially if you release this guy, it's not going to spawn anywhere else. It's not going to spread so long as you keep insulting this guy, especially scornful insulting him. It will prevent any spread whatsoever. The reason this is so important is because the AI sucks so bad at spawning institutions with development. The reason why is the AI is programmed to look for where it should be most efficient to develop. So for England, in order for it to develop an institution, it has to keep developing the same province. But it has so many provinces that cost so much less, it would rather develop in another province than in London, or in York, or wherever else it would develop to spawn the institution, meaning it really doesn't do it. That is why Russia, despite being so far behind in technology, will almost never develop an institution. It just has so many provinces, it really can't pick just one. However, that is also why the one-province miners in Germany tend to spawn the institutions very, very quickly. Now, what does this mean if you can get it to just be right here and not have any natural spread? Well, look around you in the area. There's really nobody here that is going to be spawning anything. Not only is the land just bad for it, or the tag will not exist for long, or in general, it's too far away, they really don't develop that much, especially the larger powers. You're looking for stable, secure, long-lasting one-province miners, so you're looking at Germany. Meaning Europe will probably be knocked about 30 years behind you in terms of getting the institution, where they'll be about 30 years behind tech. Whereas Asia over here will typically be about 30 to 60. Meaning if you can get it sequestered up here, and then continue to expand into the New World, since if you have your capital here, you can then move it to the New World and then not have a colonial nation spawn, you're able to get a massive technology advantage over everybody else. Going from the poor backwater that really didn't even have feudalism, that is so far behind in tech it's pathetic, to being the Wakanda of Japan. Really, really easily. And that's the general purpose of this. Now, I do want to point out a couple of the other expansion paths so you guys are aware of what is there and when you can go for it or why you should go for it, etc. Now, of course, there is Manchuria. A lot of people will immediately go into Manchuria because, generally speaking, these guys are not exactly strong, and usually you can get ahead of them in tech too. So, when would you go into them? Well, if you want to go into Manchuria, you need to be aware that generally speaking, you're not going to be able to get the colonialism sequestered because you're going to have way too strong of a vassal if you do that. You can do it if you want, but just be aware you're probably not going to be able to lock it down. But your call. The other option is to head south. Now, by bringing this up in the colonial view, you can see, even now, without tech level 7, I can reach Formosa because I have this guy. Just with a little bit of extra range from the advisor, I'm able to reach down here, which will then allow me to reach down here. And that's all I really need. Once I'm able to get to the Philippines, I'm pretty much safe. But I do want to point out, Ming here loves Formosa. Loves it, loves it, loves it. So you need to be sure, before you jump down there, that Ming is about to explode. If Ming is not about to explode, they're likely to declare on you to try and get this province, or the rest of this island, under their own grasp. So you can do that, just be careful. And then lastly, you can always no-CB your way down here, or onto the Philippines, and try and get your landing site there. Otherwise, you can always go to the islands over here once you hit level 7, because, yeah, it's not that far, but you do need that extra range. But that'll give you enough expansion into Manchuria, and then into Mongolia, etc., down into the Philippines, and of course, into America. Now, why America, and especially why this fast? Because, well, if you look at the trade goods that'll spawn, especially gold, there be gold in them hills. Especially in these mountains. 13.5% chance in each each mountain province up here for gold. And then you get down into Oregon and Washington where there's still gold. and then you get into California where there's a lot of gold, and then you get into Mexico where there's even more. Meaning you have a massive financial base in the New World. On top of that, you'll have a lot of provinces there that you can colonize, and then turn that into a power base where you can come back, and Japan here, or Ashikaga if they haven't converted yet, will not stand a chance. Because generally speaking, it's really hard to invade Japan in EU4 without having to build a massive navy. But if you can prevent this from happening, you only have to cross a strait. You don't need a massive navy to fight them. You just need to transport your troops back over, and if your vassal is still here, you can just hire a new army there if you really wanted to. And then when you declare, just jump across the strait as fast as you can. And you can do the exact same thing up here in Manchuria. Meaning, you're able to do massive expansion and then completely ignore the Pacific Ocean. And that's the point of this guide. Get colonialism, keep it away from everybody, and use your vassal in your original land as a foothold to launch invasions into the rest of Asia. And with that, that is this guide. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I will definitely be making more of it. If you want a specific country or a specific element of the game, or me to cover a specific mechanic, leave it in a comment below. I'm always looking for other content you guys want me to make, and I'll be glad to make it. Lastly, I just want to say again, please, if you have any capacity to help right now, Ukraine is in dire need. Whether it is military assistance or funding for it, or simply medical care and getting civilians out of the war zone, they absolutely need your help. So please go to the links below and donate what you can. It will absolutely save somebody's life. With that all being said, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful night.